It's time for a cup of rad, so let's fill your cup with rad pop culture vibes. And now your over-caffeinated hosts, Mike and Katie. And here we are, the countdown to Endgame, marching our way merrily to watching whatever's going to happen in Avengers ENDGAME coming out in a few days.
Yeah, we're very, very excited about it.
So here we are. We are in our 27th episode.
Yes.
And
Gotta check with production on that one.
Right? Yeah. And we got our coffees ready, poured in our cups of rad, because what we're going to do is we're going to run down through 21 films in the next unspecified amount of time.
Because we're good planners like that.
Right.
We're just going to fly by it.
This episode could be 5 minutes. This could be a 4-hour epic. We don't know.
You have one word to describe each movie. Go.
Luckily, we don't have to do that.
No,
but
don't.
we have filled up our cups with some lovely coffee on this weekend, and we're gonna go ahead and dive right in.
Sounds good.
Dun dun dun. So the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in its 10th year. Started.
It's a big part of our lives.
Yes,
It's impressive.
It's very rare for a film series to have the same actors
Throughout the whole time.
through all
like
that
this.
time. Yeah.
So they really have become a part of our world.
Mm-hmm,
You know, it's an interesting feeling.
They're like family, but they don't come to dinner.
Which I don't appreciate.
Right?
I would like a number of them over for dinner.
There you go. Unspecified amount of number from different stars that are willing to come enjoy dinner with us.
You are
Show
welcome.
up, knock on that door, and we'll feed you something.
Okay, so jumping right in.
Okay, so Iron Man. First in the universe. What do you think?
So Iron Man, the idea is it was the first one. It was like, holy moly, we have a superhero movie that's bright and shiny and it feels like a comic book came to life. And Tony was just, it was a perfect hero to have as that start out of the gate. Big and brash and look at me, here I am. And I really enjoyed it. It's fun, it's exciting, and it's the start.
Yeah.
What about you?
Robert Downey Jr. is just perfect as Tony Stark. I really dig him in that role. So seeing that film and with the effects and how real everything kind of looked and played out was just mind-blowing. And being a hero that we really hadn't ever seen in any media a whole lot before, except for a few cartoons here and there through the 90s, It was really nice to have something that was a little different. And you didn't even really know that there was going to be more films in the series until that end credit scene, that first thing that really taught us to stay. But when Nick Fury shows up and is like, you're part of a bigger world, and you're just like, what?
Right? It was like wait a second, there's actually going to be more of this. They're actually planning ahead to make more of these. And then they did, and they followed through.
And that's what was pretty wild, especially because Marvel Studios was an independent studio at the time.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't really associated with anybody big, like production-wise. So for them to start off right off the bat and say, hey, we're going to start doing more was impressive. From that, then, The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. With this, I really enjoyed the movie only because I think I like Edward Norton. And I know I'm biased on this.
I like it. I think I like Edward Norton.
No, okay. Let me rephrase this. I like Edward Norton, and I think I like the movie more because it is him. As a Hulk movie, it's okay. It's there. I could kind of take it or leave it. If I'm going to choose later on, I would definitely choose Mark Ruffalo's version of the Hulk. And he has definitely replaced it as that is the Hulk now to me.
Yeah.
But at the time, I enjoyed the movie for what it is. I don't really have
It's a lot of fun. It's a vast improvement, I think, over Ang Lee's Hulk.
Yes, very much so.
But at the same time, I like Ang Lee's Hulk only because of the comic-iness. But what we're talking about is the MCU version. And at the time, it was made by Universal still, and there wasn't really like, oh, it's going to be part of this new MCU until Tony Stark shows up in an end credit scene.
Right? You're like, what?
Or mid-credit or whatever they just started doing.
It's a credit scene. We'll just do credits.
So it was that kind of like, oh, wow, wait a minute. This is connected because that's the guy from the other movie. What's going on? I like the action in it. My biggest thing is it is very much the homage to the Lou Ferrigno TV series. That's what it feels like.
Oh, okay. I don't know anything about it, so that's probably why I don't see that connection.
So I do like where they took the character after with more of the stuff, but we'll get into that later. So right off the bat then, it was Iron Man 2. They jumped right to the sequel.
So with that one, short and sweet here. Tony pissed me off, and I can deal with confidence and cockiness, but he was just an ass, and that overshadows a lot of the good that does exist in the movie, and that's about what I have to say. What about you?
Iron Man 2, I'm not a big fan of it. It was almost a little too repetitive of the same thing, and with that being said, like you said, Tony is a real cocky ass in it, and I had a hard time gravitating for that. Now, the saving grace of the film, I think, honestly, is the introduction of Black Widow.
Agreed.
Having her in there and showing how badass she is, especially near the end scene where she takes out that entire hallway of guys where Happy barely takes down one.
That was absolutely fantastic.
That was a fantastic
See, and then that
scene.
Gets lost in all of the boastfulness and the drunken horrificness that Tony is.
Yeah,
right?
It's not. If I'm going to watch an Iron Man movie, honestly, I'm going to watch the first one.
Yes.
That's my jam. So
next up was Thor. So, Mike, what'd you think of Thor?
Well, I don't know. Do you want to start with that one?
So this one here, for my, I'm thinking about what should I say for this movie. If you've listened to our prior episodes,
The Make Mine Marvel,
this will make more sense. This is really the start of the Thor circle jerk.
Yep.
And it's also the start of my love of Loki. So I've always liked the idea of Thor because of the mythology aspect. And then the movie was like, holy crap, it's an Asgardian on screen, and it's Chris Hemsworth. So, you had all this wonderfulness. And then Loki, I really, really love Tom Hiddleston and Loki's character. And it was just so happy to see them on screen like that. And it was just ridiculous fun.
Yeah, no, I really dig that movie. That's the charm that was there and the chemistry with the actors in that film. It's really great because it really plays off like a Shakespearean play.
Yes.
And then especially when Thor comes to Earth and it's just when he's drinking the coffee and he's like, I like this drink more, and he smashes the coffee mug down.
That blend between what his world was and then bringing it somewhere else. He's not conditioned at all, and he's definitely that outsider, and they play that up really well.
Exactly. And then you have in it too, you have the world is opening up. You've got that whole scene where he goes to get the hammer. Your first glimpse of Hawkeye is in there.
Yes.
So it was that like starting to peel back that shell.
You
that
start
there's
seeing
more.
S.H.I.E.L.D. more. You start seeing all this stuff, and you're like, wait a second, there's more going on now, right?
And I really dug Thor. Like the first Thor, I like watching that one. That's a good ride. And yes, it started your circle jerk.
You had to just add that in there.
You just we've got tissues. That's okay.
Oh, so crude. I love it. Next up.
Then we went to Captain America, the First Avenger.
So with this one, I really dug this film. I love how Steve Rogers is portrayed overall with it. Like I know Captain America from the comics, but I was never read the comics. I'm not a comic book fan for it. I don't know much about it other than what Mike has told me from lots of his reading of Avengers. But I really enjoyed what Evans did with the character, how he was portrayed in the movie, and it's just grown since then, but he's just truly heroic. He's the good guy through and through. He's not the one that is the struggling, I don't know what to do. He knows what to do. Every single choice he makes, he is doing for the greater good.
Yeah.
He is the least selfish person that exists in the MCU, and I just, more and more, I just love him.
Yeah.
And that was just a really well done story. It was relatively simple and straightforward, and I like that.
Yeah, for me, honestly, First Avenger is my favorite Cap film.
Yeah.
And I know that will ruffle some feathers, but and there's reasoning for it. It's just because it's such a straightforward Captain America adventure, and I dig his World War II adventures, and especially with the inclusion of having the Red Skull in there. It was very classic, iconic feeling.
Yeah, okay,
right?
That makes sense.
And I think that's what I really liked about it. That it felt like one of those really old comics and that old-timey vibe and Tommy Lee Jones and just everything they'd really built in that. And it really, that caught my attention. And, because it had that Rocketeer vibe.
Yeah,
right.
That makes sense.
And I dig that, whenever you're fighting Nazis and punching Nazis in the face, that's a good time.
How could you go wrong with that?
Like, that's why we like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Right?
You gotta
That's
punch
why
the
that's
Nazis
why
in the
you like
face.
the BPRD and
They
Hellboy.
make the perfect bad guy.
Right, yeah.
It's universally understood that they are bad guys,
yeah, and
it's
then
okay.
you peel away the layers and find out that it not only was Nazis, but it was Hydra, and it's all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Evans playing the character, just going from that scrawny runt to what he was, is fantastic.
Agreed.
And then all those films led up to Avengers.
Yes.
And for me, that was like lightning in the bottle. Like everything just seemed great about that film. There was hope, there was action, it was just,
It all fit into place.
yeah, all those films just led up. It was like the perfect season ending to what you had gotten from before. But then they teased more at the end too. Like,
You're like, what?
they were just like, it was just like they took you to the end and then they were just like, well, wait, there's more.
But
And you know, you're like, I can't handle this. Slow down.
There's just
Too
so
sensitive,
much happening.
right?
Happening at once.
But it was really awesome to see all those characters on screen. Getting to actually see like Cap and Iron Man and Thor and Hulk and Widow and Hawkeye and Fury all really interact on the screen together. It's just something we hadn't seen before.
Well, yeah, with that, it was so exciting to see that team, and they balanced each other so well off with action and humor. They just melded together really well, and it was fun to see all of them actually gel together as a team or on screen, and everything like that, and having to deal with a situation and come to terms with it. I thought it was just fantastic.
Yeah, it is a great superhero film, and it still is. From there, Iron Man 3.
So Iron Man 3, I have enjoyed it more as I've watched it more times, ironically. I remember I was like, oh yeah, it's awesome, it's Iron Man, it's great. And then I'd watch it again and it was like, well, this is kind of weird. But overall, I have actually, as I've gotten older, enjoyed it a little bit more. I remember I thought it was odd still that the Mandarin turned out to be fake. I still think it's odd because I know that was a letdown for comic fans.
Yeah.
And I was, I remember when I first learned about that and I'm like, oh, he really is a real villain. And I learned about the villain and it's like, well, that would have been really awesome to see on screen. So it made me kind of sad for the thing that I now found out I was missing out on.
Yeah.
But when it turned out to be Aldrich was kind of the main villain and then he was fake and everything, but he could have been better. But the end action scene I remember was just super intense for it. And it was sometimes it was really good, but also a little overwhelming. So I'm a little conflicted on it. It's back and forth, right? But what about your thoughts? Maybe you can make a little bit cleaner of a review for that.
Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, I was never really a fan of when I first watched it. But as you said, the more and more you watch it, I seem to enjoy it more. I think I do enjoy it more than Iron Man 2 in some cases.
Yeah.
But it still is not as good as the first. So it's like, if you took Iron Man 2 and 3 and put them together, I'd be happy almost.
Well, because Tony's a better person in Iron Man 3. And so you take that aspect and it's like already has elevated the film.
Yeah. Definitely the scenes with the at the end when he blows up all his suits and all that, when he's fighting the extremist stuff. That's a really intense action scene. It was really awesome to see, especially as he was like jumping between his suits.
I remember I was really worried that Pepper Potts was actually going to die. And I was just, it made me really on edge. I remember that. So.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting though that is kind of bothersome is how much the final scene, this is the one movie that just doesn't really like gel cohesively to the rest of the MCU. Because where the movie ends with him getting the arc taken out of him, and even how with Pepper, right?
Yes.
How she had gone. It's like they don't really touch upon it really
anywhere else.
It like happened and then you're just supposed to believe everything was okay. So definitely one of those ones where there's some really great moments, but it's not my favorite. I would put in the first Iron Man if I was going to watch an Iron Man movie. If you're like, what Iron Man do you want to watch? I'd put the first one in.
Exactly.
We're heading into sequel territory.
Yes.
So Thor, Dark World.
Thor, Dark World. I was super excited to see Thor again, because it's Thor. And it started out really interesting and really fun. And I liked some of the science aspect of it. But again, I'm not a huge fan of when romance takes place in things when I don't feel like it's warranted.
Bitch, don't touch that moment.
So down with the romance of it, because it took over the whole thing and it didn't need to be a romance. And then it got a little too ridiculous and a little over the top. it's one of those ones I could kind of take it or leave it. You know, Thor, it's for me, I'm definitely picking the first one over the second one idea. And then it just got better. Thankfully, I think they learned from some of the weirdness from it and have gotten better with the character. But it was like this transitioning ground for it almost.
Yeah, the Dark World had a lot of great moments at the beginning. I think Hiddleston's really the one that stood out there because there was some extra treachery at the end.
He is awesome in everything.
But definitely, you know, the second one, the villain was pretty meh.
Yeah.
And it's another one of those ones where like there's some really awesome scenes. Like the opening scene to Dark World is incredible, and it's probably one of the better Thor scenes in a lot of the movies.
Yes.
Just with fighting all the mythical creatures and all that.
Yeah, definitely.
But as a whole, it's not my jam.
Yeah.
Then we went on another sequel, Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
So with this, I realize it looking back on it now how much I really do like Captain America in the MCU. I really enjoyed him and his portrayal again, especially the elevator scene, because who could ask for a better Captain America scene ever? It was just fantastic.
Yeah, that is a pretty intense scene.
Yeah, and then just the idea of getting out of there and then the turn and everything. And it's just, again, he's the hero through and through. He's doing all these what appears to be really stupid but brave, courageous choices only because he knows it's the right thing to do for what he believes in. And it's just impressive to see that hard principle with that. I really enjoyed the overall action suspense of finding out what's going on and what is the issue and solving that mystery of things.
Yeah, it is a well-crafted film with some incredible action scenes. For me, Nick Fury, was really cool to see him actually do more.
Yes.
Even though he gets hurt and he's all fucked up and shit. But, you know, it just was nice to actually see him be part of it a little bit more, because he was just always like in the shadows here and there and like pop, 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 pop. You know, he fires off a rocket launcher in the in the first Avengers, and then he just disappears, and then he's like, woo, I'm here. So it was cool to see him be in it more. You know, there's not really anything I have to complain about the film. It really is a second to the first Avenger for me. They're almost tied. Yeah. But just nostalgia feel edges out the first.
Well, it has, with the modern world and a little bit more of a bigger story. Yeah. I think it has a totally different feel and vibe
exactly. Right? Which is brave on them as a studio to say, hey, you know, but also too, I think I was just a little disappointed that he never got any little extra time to be Captain America in the New World.
I agree. It just ran right into your future feel. Right?
Yeah. And that was that was a little disheartening because it is such a pop culture with Bruckerberg's run on that. It was such a big moment in Cap's history in that line. So it was a bit of for me, I wish Cap should have had 3 movies, but Winter Soldier should have been the third almost.
That makes sense.
You know, that's how I feel. There should have been a second one that had dealt with more of like the hero Cap in the new after Avengers all rah.
Yeah. You know, getting used to everything for sure. So next up is Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. So I love this movie within the first 30 seconds. And I've never stopped. That's what I can say about it. It's got absolutely fantastic heart, humor, action, everything you could ask for.
Yeah, Guardians is probably my jam for the entirety of the MCU. I love that film. It's so funny and it's so action packed and it's the sci-fi, you know, and it has a friggin' talking raccoon, you know, rabbit, not a raccoon, you know, and I love it. And seeing that aspect of misfits come together to save the day when they should really not be saving the day, and they realize the good that they should be doing even when they want to run is inspiring.
I agree.
You know, and oddly enough, I've said it before, but you know, I can relate to Rocket, that kind of like that lonely, just, you know, here we are, a bunch of assholes standing in a circle, right?
Yeah, that's Mike in a nutshell right there. Like, oh my goodness.
So, you know, it's just kind of that, yeah. And I just dig it. It just is so fun to watch. It's one that I can watch over and over again out of all of them.
Well, and this one too has a special place in our heart because it was the startup of being able to share the MCU with our son.
Yes, well, this is the first movie too that when he saw the trailers, he was like, "I want to see that," and we're like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah, and it's a big part of his life.
Yeah, he always listens to the soundtrack. You know, he was Rocket for Halloween. You know,
that soundtrack has been on repeat in our house for years now.
It's on repeat still when we go places. It's like, you got the iPod, you got the Guardian soundtrack, right? Yeah. Okay.
Like, we know every single word, songs ever been on that soundtrack for sure. Right. So, next up, Mike, what'd you think of Avengers Age of Ultron?
You know, I don't dislike Age of Ultron, but I don't know, there's something that feels like something wasn't fleshed out enough in it. It has its ups and downs, and like there's some really great moments, and then there's some like really slow moments, but it's like that start of that like time frame of comics that I'm not a big fan of, because this is where the MCU kind of started going with their main books. Everyone started becoming more like not heroes. They started working more in the gray area. What we're gonna do,
anti-hero feel, right?
Yeah, like the government's bad and we're not gonna listen to them. And understandable, I get that, it's the thinking and all that, but it's like we barely got them shiny and bright and
we have to
iconic,
go all, like,
emo.
Yeah.
Right. But there's a lot of really good things in there. The one thing that I would thought was weird was they gave Hawkeye the family. And the only time he's really had a family in the comics is in the Ultimate books. And they were killed by Widow as she double crossed them all. So I was like really excited to see that happen. And that hasn't happened. So whatevs. But there's a lot of great action in it, so I still kind of like watching it, but I'll watch the first one if I was to watch out of the two.
I agree.
So yourself?
So with this, parts of it I really liked. I liked the idea of the AI creation and Vision, honestly. Yep. The science nerd of me, and Vision was a really cool result of a really bad situation, honestly. And I like that Ultron almost had a sarcasm. He wasn't just a emotionless robot completely. Yeah. He had a weird amount of humanity to him, right? And yes, it was the child with the... It was, I think, just a really well done blend of the scary ass robot who thinks that the world is better off with nothing in it. Yeah. But at the same time has some fun with it. Yeah. Kind of sociopathic, right?
Well, I do like that scene where he cuts off Claw's hand and he's like, "Oh, I didn't mean to. Oh," right?
Yeah, right. It's like, and you're like, what?
Yeah. So that was fun.
And but some of it was a little too overdone. I enjoyed Hawkeye, his just getting shit done mentality. It's like, okay, we got a job to do. Let's just figure this out.
Yeah, his speech to Wanda is fantastic.
Yes, and that stands out to me in the movie.
That is probably the one scene that stands out to me as well.
Yeah, it's that how much he helps them and helps them through things, and it was a great defining moment of his character in the MCU, and that really shines bright for that movie for me.
Yeah, makes sense.
And next up, we have Ant-Man. So with this, it's Paul Rudd. It's Paul Rudd in a superhero movie. I love Paul Rudd.
And he's got abs.
That I really could care less about. But I really loved the quick humor and the different hero style story. There wasn't the standard like, dun dun dun, I have powers and everything like that. It was the bumbling, I fell into this and I'm trying to just figure my way out of it. And I guess I'll help you out because I'm not really that bad of a guy and I'm just trying to get my feet again. And I thought it was just really fun. And it went by so quickly and it was just really enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. It's got lots of humor in it and lots of heart, and I really dug that. It's just quick, it's quippy, it's silly. Yeah. It's one of those ones where I can watch and just laugh and this is fun. And some of the shrinking scenes is really cool to be able to see. Because, we haven't really seen shrinking since Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, right?
So that's all it reminds me of.
So seeing some of that stuff was really cool again. And Rudd, I think, did a fantastic job bringing them. But Evangeline Lilly, even in that first movie, really stood out as something to watch.
Yes, I agree, for sure.
With her strength on screen.
Yes, she did a good job of really creating that character, for sure.
Then Captain America, Civil War.
So this one here, I Overall, I did like the movie, but the drama was a bit overdone, and the big fist fight between Tony and Cap was really hard to watch, honestly. I understood the purpose of it, and I'm not like all cringing or anything like this, but it was still difficult to see. I know some of my family members were very unhappy that they were arguing, and
I don't even think they've still seen that film.
It was just so funny. Like, you have to understand the whole story about it, and you understand more, and there's more meaning for it, but it was still hard to watch. But I did enjoy the suspense of finding out who was framing Bucky, who was setting the stage for the Avengers' destruction. I thought the story itself was interesting, kind of a mystery to unfold. I'm sad with what we kind of a theme I'm talking about. We had so little bright and shiny. It was already, they were breaking apart and destroying each other. And it was sad to see the destruction so quickly on.
Yeah. You know, I am not a huge Civil War fan, only for the fact that it feels like it could have been so much more. And there are a lot of scenes that really drug out, especially the final scene with Cap, Bucky, and Iron Man.
Yes.
That fight scene I felt just went on too long.
Well, it was just, it was overdone violence almost. It
felt too choreographed for how raw sometimes Cap felt in his other movies. That scene, because like the back and forth of the flipping of the shield, back to Bucky to him, back and forth.
I agree. Yeah. Right? It was like, we're done now.
And where I wish this hadn't been Cap's third movie.
Yeah.
The Winter Soldier should have been Cap's movie. This should have been the third Avengers.
I agree.
They should have just been Avengers Civil
movie.
And then I think if it had just been Avengers Civil War, maybe other little threads could have been fleshed out a little better. You know, the best things for me that came out of Civil War was the introduction of Black Panther.
Yes.
To show that he's pretty badass.
Yes.
And for me, it's Hawkeye getting his suit back, getting an actual like purple suit.
Yes.
Not the mauve and maroon thing that he wore in the past two Avengers movie, but actual purple on it. And the fact that he showed a bit more that he was formidable, being able to kind of take on the Vision.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was really cool. And then, of course, Spider-Man showing up.
Well, yeah, that was like the topping of the cake of that. And that big battle at the airport overall was just really fun to see.
And that's, for me, that's about the only thing that I really care to watch in that movie.
Yeah, because
I know there's lots of gasp out there. Like, oh my God, what is he saying? You know, there's that scene alone. But then also, too, the Marvel creators I don't think, had been able to control their marketing machine, unlike they're doing now. And they showed too much of that movie.
Yeah.
That was one of those ones where I went to and I was just like, dude,
I knew
why couldn't this have all been a surprise?
Yeah.
Right. So even when the final kind of like turnaround came around, it still just wasn't enough for me to be like, I love this one.
Yeah.
You know, there are some great moments, but I'm not super woo about it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't, there's other Avengers movies I'd rather watch.
Well, there. That's the problem. Is it's an Avengers movie? It's not a Captain America.
No, there's not enough of just him in it. Like there's So Doctor Strange. So first off, again, this is I don't know if you recognize the theme yet, but movies I love depend on the actors in the movies, and Benedict Cumberbatch is one of those people that I love. I love him from Sherlock Holmes, and then it just made it perfect because he's a sorcerer. I'm a wizard, Harry.
I'm a wizard. And I like the idea of him trying, the concept of finding a path to peace and enlightenment in a different way. That not just medical can't solve everything. The power of the mind, even if it's completely fictional and mystical, or maybe it's not, who knows? Maybe there is a sorcerer supreme somewhere. But finding that different thought process, I really like that idea, and I like how much he was humbled near the end. What a growth and a character change Stephen Strange made throughout the movie. I really enjoyed that.
Yes, I definitely agree with that, because you can see how he goes from being kind of the cocky Tony Stark to being so humbled throughout the film and his journey. And I think that's a really good thing on his acting for the character.
Yeah.
But he still has his snark.
Yes.
Right.
Well, because there was still such a good humor in there, And, and you throw in the cape and everything, kind of the silly ridiculousness to balance it off. But it wasn't too overdone and over the top, right? So I really enjoyed it.
I dig the film, and it comes too from the fact that the guy that directed this was the guy that directed the Sinister with Ethan Hunt. Not Ethan Hunt, Ethan Hawke. You know, so
I love, by the way, that was Ethan Hunt. That's
right. There's not a lot of Ethans in the Hollywood biz, but with that one there, because that one's so dark and twisted and all that. So it was cool to see him be able to craft something that was light and airy and all that. But yeah, no, I liked it because it was one of the times where, like, I remember reading Strange from like the Defenders era, when like Beast and Strange and Hulk and Thor were all in there. Mm-hmm. And I remember liking that, but I hadn't really read him a lot otherwise, because like whenever he'd show up in the cartoons that kiddo would watch, he was just a dick, and I was just like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah, he's very pompous. And,
yeah. I am the Sorcerer Supreme. It's like,
he always comes out like this creepy old man. Like, you know, Berlin really angry.
Yeah,
you know?
right?
Yeah.
So he did a great job of making him likable.
Yeah, he brought
enjoyable.
some personality to him and some personal.
Yeah, and I actually really like watching the movie. I think it's fun. My biggest thing is the ending was it was cool that he didn't just use brute force to take down Demandou, but it was like, there was that moment where I was like, oh, this is where we're going. Like, how is this going to end? How is he just going to loop?
How are they going to solve everything?
Right? Yeah. So,
but it was kind of fun to have a different way to achieving, you know, winning,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And I can respect that.
Yeah. Well, and he's definitely one. I have an actual little time stone necklace, and I'm getting my hot toy, and I'm just super excited. Like, oh my goodness. So.
Yes. You've got that on order, and you've got, you're stranged out.
Yes, I do have a time stone. Next up, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Mike.
Okay. So I really like Volume 2. I love it. I think it's ridiculous, but my love from it, of course, doesn't come from Star-Lord's story, because I don't really...
You don't connect with Star-Lord.
I don't really connect. Like, I do in some ways, but not that much. I connect to Rocket.
If you ever want to know, like, how Mike is, just think of Rocket Raccoon. You're like, oh, yeah, okay, I know who Mike is.
Well, I remember when we watched it in that scene at the very end when he's like screaming, "Does anyone have tape?" You know, and then he's like, "Fine, I'll just do it myself." And I remember Kiddo was just like, that's you, Dad."
Yeah, when our son can even point it out and be like, "Wow, it's my dad on screen." You know, you know that it's his point on
right, because he's even said, you know, that Groot and him from that movie, that version of Groot, and Rocket, that it's me and him, right? So I can really connect to that story and that idea of trying to find family, because in a lot of cases, you know, I was not really around my side of my family, right? And one part of my family's tiny and doesn't really have relatives, and the other side we just don't jam with. Yeah. Right. And that's changed now. It's starting to be, but I had to search out and find and create my own family. Yeah. Right. And so that idea, but at the same time, I still have a hard time trusting people. Mm-hmm. So I just do everything myself. So that's why I can kind of like, you know.
He's resistant to the idea of letting people in. Right? I really love this movie. The heart behind it is fantastic. All the different ideas of choosing your family, and the people who are your family are the people who stand by you. Yeah. And not, maybe they're blood, maybe they aren't. And just because their blood doesn't mean they've earned the right to be the people that are always there for you. Mm-hmm. And so it's
like the Muppets.
Yeah, right? I love that idea.
I found a group of assorted people that are into the same thing as me, and we're going to start a show.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? With Yondu, all of that heart with that, oh my goodness. It's not even tearing up. I bawl at the end of that movie. Yeah. The funeral scene and all of that, holy moly, so much emotion and just so well done again.
And the music's well done. The music,
and it's impressive that they were able for a sequel to truly hit a mark that still made me feel like, wow, I want to watch Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know. Maybe I should just watch 1 and 2 together. Yeah. It's not like, oh yeah, clearly I'm going to watch 1. Yeah. And they're still just an amazing film.
Yeah. I look forward now that Gunn is back for Volume 3. I'm very excited to see what route they will take with that.
Definitely. So Spider-Man Homecoming.
Spider-Man Homecoming. It's our third on-screen Spider-Man. So it was a little
by this
concerning.
Time, it's like, oh,
Spider-Man. But you know what? I really like Tom Holland. I really thought he brought something to the role that the others were missing. That's that young optimism. Yeah. That I remember from the comics in my mind of reading and seeing like that. Even when they showed him making his web fluid, you know, in the drawer, like I just thought that was really cool. And the fact that it was like just, he kind of has already accepted that with great responsibility. You know?
Yeah, it didn't focus
instead of being just mopey angry, which is like, no, I got to get stuff done, and I want to be a hero because I want to show that I can be better.
Yeah.
That's what it comes across like to me.
Yeah.
And I really dug Keaton as a Vulture, even though it's a completely different take on the Vulture, more science fiction's like basic take, Iron Man take.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked how everything just melded together, you know? So I'm really looking forward to Spider-Man in the future with Far From Home.
Yeah.
Because this version of his suit and just the fastness of it, I really like.
Well, I liked him that he was good as Parker and Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I was happy that the whole movie didn't focus around his uncle's death.
Yes.
He wasn't mopey. He wasn't, as you had said, he had already accepted that he was already a decent person. He was already moving on with it. And it was all about just focusing on accepting Spider-Man and figuring out how to make it work.
And then we go to Thor Ragnarok, and I think that's when you began even more hardcore circle jerking for Thor.
It's one of my all-time favorite MCU films. I literally could watch it over and over again because it's got humor, action on an epic scale. It's got Led Zeppelin. It's got Jeff Goldblum. What else could I ask for? It's fan-freaking-tastic. I have nothing but good things to say about this movie. I love it. And even the ridiculousness, I just love it.
It's zany. I think the thing that is interesting about it is the fact that it's such a departure from the other Thors.
Yeah.
That it decided that it was like, well, maybe those past formulas aren't working. Let's just do this instead. And really, the only thing that I don't like about it was the marketing of it really kind of spoiled a lot of it. They really should have pulled some of that back, especially with the Hulk.
Yes, I agree. That would have been awesome if it had been
you hadn't even known
surprise.
the Hulk. Yeah, was in it.
You're just walking out there in a gladiator ring and been like, holy shit, the Hulk is there.
Yeah. So I think that is something that they should have, stepped back on. And really cool to see Valkyrie in it, which is kind of fun because that is where, Thor and Valkyrie came from with our naming of our cats.
Yep, our cats are Thor and Valkyrie.
But we didn't come up with Thor until
Thor
the next
came
movie.
out of
the next movie.
Yes. The next time when
we'll
Thor
get there.
showed up. We'll show up in there. Okay. Next up,
Black Panther. I really like Black Panther more than I was expecting because I never really even had the character on my radar. I thought he was cool in Civil War, but
that was such a minor glimpse.
Yeah, and I just loved, that really sucked me in because a lot of besides like the popular soundtrack from Guardians, a lot of the other films, the soundtrack didn't even grab me.
It doesn't even exist really, right?
And the music that was in Black Panther just was amazing.
Yeah.
Like I
that was on repeat for so long. Yeah,
that was headphones and I was just like, just listening to that because it was just amazing. And I'm not talking about the rap soundtrack. I'm talking about the actual movie score, the film score. And it was just fantastic. And the sets and all that, there's only that one kind of scene that bugs me with the CG at the beginning in the big pit. It looks really fake. His coronation.
Yeah.
Besides that, though, I liked it and the way it was set up and everything. So I really liked that movie, like a lot.
Yeah, it was beautiful to look at. It was really slick. I liked the story and the flow of it. And I enjoyed the new characters, seeing Wakanda, which was just a super fun idea. I was fascinated with the blend of the cultural tradition and the technology. Mm-hmm. It was a really cool concept. And I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, that was something that was fantastic to see.
So next up, Avengers Infinity War.
And
so this was the next time with Thor.
Thor, yes.
This is where Thor's...
He is not a man.
He is a pirate angel.
He's like if a pirate and an angel had a baby.
Yep.
Right? So our cat was going to lose his eye.
Yes.
And
he's
kitten.
orange.
He was
a kitten. They said he was going to be blind. He was going to be a one-eyed cat. And we're like, oh my goodness. He's
the mighty Thor.
He's the mighty Thor. He's a pirate angel. He is our pirate angel. And it was perfect. He ended up being able to keep his eye, which was even more funny than afterwards that now he has two eyes.
Yeah. So that's why our cat was named Thor. So.
And then Valkyrie just came out of it like, wait a second, she's a little black kitten and it kind of went together and it was fun.
It was Thor and Valkyrie.
And it was fantastic. So there you go.
Infinity War. What's your jam?
So we actually did rewatch this as prep for Endgame as well, so it's super fresh in our mind. And I just love this movie. It's a perfect combination of everything that has come before it. And there's so much heart and camaraderie and so well done with all the different stories, balancing all these different timeline feels and coming back in together and culminating through it. And I loved how each character had their own little slice of the pie and it was each really done with it. And Thanos was amazing looking and he was actually terrifying with how calm he was. It was I've decided that this is what needs to be done. I'm the strongest to make those hard choices. And you have like this weird sense of like, you feel bad for him at the same time. It's like this weird burden that he feels that he needs to bear. And if you think about it in a different aspect, you know, you try to think about what he's lost and it's horrible because the concept of it is horrible of what he's doing, but he plays it so well. And they just wrote him really well to really care about it almost.
Yeah.
And it was just, it had me shocked from the beginning with Loki's death. It was just gut-wrenching for me and it just never stopped all the way through, right? So what about you?
Well, with Infinity War, I think it is probably the best Avengers film for sure, like Avengers film.
Yeah.
It's weird to say that with the fact that they lose at the end. You know, it's the most you see them actually almost work more together than fighting.
Yes.
And I think that was kind of cool to see.
Bringing them together.
Yeah, right? Having all those threads and seeing all those characters on screen. Thanos in the Black Order was probably the most menacing villains that they have really faced.
Yes.
Thanos was probably the most fleshed out villain besides Loki that has been faced. And you are right. He had that moment of back and forth of, well, I kind of get what he's saying, but oh my God, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And that is good to see on a writing standpoint and an acting standpoint that, you know, you could understand the plight of someone that's doing something.
Yeah.
Right. In reality, the movie is Thanos' movie. The Avengers are the sub characters.
Yeah, because it's his journey in figuring it out.
Yeah. You know, I really, really dug that. And it was really cool to see how everything ended and came together, you know, in that
and again
portion of it. Right.
Thor and Rocket. Amazing.
Yeah, right. And that's one of those things too, where we come back to that thing with Rocket and Groot and that. And that's something as our son gets older though, he sees it and he's just like, ha, that's us. That's us still.
Yep.
You know, you got some acorns on you. So I'm a fuzzy little raccoon.
Yeah.
Not a raccoon.
Nope, you're a rabbit.
But yeah.
This is my friend, Tree. I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers.
Right? So,
yeah.
You know,
super fun.
Yeah, it would be, you know, honestly, if you're like, hey, you want to sit down and watch an Avengers movie? I'd be like, are we watching Infinity War? Because that's my first choice. I would go Infinity War, Avengers, Civil War, Ultron.
Yeah.
That's how I place them.
I agree. So.
And well, I guess we'll find out if Endgame tops all.
Take that everything. Yes. I'm so excited. Like, oh my gosh, so excited. Next, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. I really liked the first Ant-Man. The second Ant-Man, I could take it or leave it. Unfortunately, that's weird for me to say. Just because the story felt flat at the end. But see, at the same time, it had a lot of awesome moments. Like, the Wasp in it was just friggin' awesome. Mm-hmm. Like, she did a great job with that character.
She made me want to learn how to kickbox.
Oh, okay. Well, then why the heck aren't you doing it?
Make me a gym.
Well, that's all I'm saying, right? Let's just get it done. I'm
going to start training like Ant-Man and the Wasp.
There you go.
Tell you to take the punch.
Take a punch? That sounds dirty. Wow. So I guess what's happening in our garage tonight, I'm taking a punch. Yeah, you know, like there's a lot of good in it, and I don't know, it's not one that I'm eager to say, hey, let's go watch that.
Yeah, I really wanted to like it more, but it didn't have the same magic that Ant-Man had because it was like kind of the what's the point of it. Some of the Ghost storyline felt kind of boring, honestly. I didn't really feel enough for the character. It was the same thing over and over again.
I really dug her and I liked but it was the subplot that bothered me that bogged down her story.
Yeah, it just maybe that's why
her to be more fleshed out.
Maybe because I didn't feel enough for her, and so it was kind of like we're just catching and chasing and back and forth, and there wasn't enough emotional attachment.
It was who captures the flag. flag feel.
Yeah, and so it was just back and forth.
But the best thing to watch about the movie really comes down to the Wasp and then the end credit scene there with everyone disappearing.
Yes, that end credit scene was one of the best ones for sure.
You know, and I still say that movie could have played before Infinity War and just been like, why did everyone disappear?
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Right?
And then it would have been like what? Are they actually going to do that?
Yeah.
And like, because you're going to have people that would question it, right?
Exactly.
So it brings us to the end.
Captain Marvel. Well, that one there, you could easily
flip back a few episodes.
Yeah, that we got Katie's punching it with the Cup of Rad Captain Marvel logo. You could go listen to that if you want to know more about our feelings on it.
There is that.
Or we could just tell you a little tease.
Well, yeah, it was it's been a month and a half or so roughly, and I still really like it. I'm excited to watch it again. And by now, if I really hadn't found major faults in it, I would have figured them out.
And we've talked about it a lot.
And we've talked about it a lot, and I still really enjoy it. I still really feel super pumped up when I rock my merch that I got from it. So that's always a good sign. And I'm really excited to see more of her in the future movies and in Endgame. I'm excited to see how she fits together. The little tease of her and Thor in the trailer, super excited about it. Not gonna lie. What about you, Mike?
I still dig it. I think it's just a fun kind of movie because it gives me the nostalgia feeling of like Men in Black and Independence Day.
Yes.
That's how it feels like to me. I definitely dig it. I'm curious to see where she will go in the MCU, especially going forward with how everything is.
Yes.
Yeah, I dig that.
So there we go.
That's it. 21 films.
Countdown to Endgame.
It's going to go. So that's what's happening is Endgame's
It's so
happening.
close. It's so close.
It's just going to be there. Hopefully,
I hope it's satisfying to everyone.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I know they've already said that don't trust the trailers, which is kind of cool. I'm hoping that's the way.
I want to be surprised. I want to be surprised by it.
Yeah, and we lucked out. We got our tickets for opening night.
We're bringing our son. We're excited.
Yeah.
We're bringing him to an opening night movie.
It's at 6:15 p.m.
So it's not like 10 o'clock, thankfully. I wouldn't do that. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. We'll have a whole episode about it. So if you've seen the movie, come back and check out. It'll be part 2, basically. This is a countdown to Endgame.
Yeah.
And then next week, it's going to be Endgame. Will they win? Will they not win? Who will live? Who will die? So hopefully we filled your cup with some amazement. We got to go through the movies with you because we hadn't done that before yet. We hadn't talked about any of those movies.
Except for just Captain Marvel.
Yeah, so there you go. You got a bit of a splash of Cup of Rad in your ear from the past. It's almost like an entire RADnesia episode.
Oh, look at that.
I almost missed it.
You almost did.
I'm sorry.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Have a great time. We'll talk to you in a week. Thank you for listening. Want more rad content? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review.
And remember, be excellent to each other and party on, dudes!